What's up, you guys? This is Stuart. This is my eRide Pro SS, and today I'm going to be answering all of your questions about it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Is the seat comfortable? Yes. It's also extremely grippy. Where did you get it? I bought it from their website, eridepros.com. How long did it take to ship? So I bought mine right after Sir Ronster dropped his video on this. I bought it on November 5th and received it on November 20th, so about 15 days total. Are there any wires to cut to increase performance? I think they're talking about how on the Suron you have to cut a wire to unlock the speed. There's nothing like that on this bike. It just comes out of the box already with the top speed unlocked. Any issues with it? I've had no issues with mine. The only minor thing would be getting some air bubbles in my brake lines, which is not a big deal. How did you disconnect the brake sensors? So they're talking about on this bike, it has brake sensors that make it so that if you hit the brake, it disengages the throttle completely. I have taken mine off. I watched a video that Sir Ronster did on how to remove them, and it worked just fine. Definitely recommend taking them off. It's much better without them. Is it loud? I don't think it's that loud. I don't think I've bothered any of my neighbors riding around all the time at night during the day. It's definitely a lot quieter than a dirt bike. How many kilowatts is the motor? So it says 5 kilowatts and 12 kilowatts peak power. How much do I weigh? I weigh about 155 pounds. How much does it cost? So this bike costs $4,900 plus whatever shipping it takes to get it to you. So mine was $5,393.58. Do they ship to other countries? I am not aware of them shipping to anywhere other than the United States. Is it street legal? No, it's not. What documents come with it? Mine just came with the manual. How much is written on the label under the horn? So there's a little stamped tag right here with I think a VIN number, manufacturer date, and it says it's rated for 5 kilowatts on that tag. What's the range like? So the best way to evaluate the range, I think, has been the video that the Talaria boys did, and in it they got 23.5 miles at 50 miles per hour, so that's in sport mode. And then at 30% battery remaining, it went down to 38 miles per hour top speed. And then again, with 20% remaining, it dropped to a 20 miles per hour top speed. And then they did another test where they just held it in eco mode, and it went 26.5 miles per hour for 43 miles all the way to 15%. So if you're holding it at top speed, it'll do about 24 miles. And if you're keeping it in eco mode, it'll do about 43 miles. Does it whine or rattle? It does make a little bit of a motor whine. I don't know if that could be quieted down. It also, the chain slap's a pretty good deal. I've heard that they decreased the sprocket size to reduce that. But mine does rattle a little bit. Is this the right choice if I'm not upgrading? Yeah, I would say that's why I bought this. To me, the reason I bought it is it comes out of the box at 72 volts, whereas the other bikes that are in the similar price range come at 60 volts, and you have to spend about $2,500 on a new battery to get that 72 volts. So I think it's a great choice if you're not going to upgrade it. How does the regenerative braking work? So my bike has 3 different braking regen modes. It's got one that's 0 regen, and it's got a slightly more, and then the most regen. And to me, that kind of feels like how a 2-stroke versus a 4-stroke dirt bike feels. Kind of less resistance when you let off the throttle. And I believe that regenerative braking actually charges the battery a little bit. Does it have turn signals? It does not, although it does talk about them in the manual, so maybe they'll be adding that. How do you tell the difference between Gen 1 and 2? I think the main way to tell the difference is they put some sort of a leg brace on the newer one, and the newer one also has a light switch. So if yours has a light switch, you have the newer gen. How fast does it go? So it'll do about 53 miles per hour in sport mode, and it'll do about 60 to 63 in turbo mode. Are the tires good? My tires were great. It came with the CST tires stock. I thought they did great on the road and off-road. I've now replaced my rear tire. Where do you live? So I live in Asheville, North Carolina. Why did I buy this over the other options? Yeah, I bought this over the other options just because for the price, seems like a really good performance, bang for the buck, at 72 volts out of the box. Can it be registered? Not that I'm aware, but I've heard of other people doing it, so it's probably possible, depends on the state. How much does it weigh? It weighs 139 pounds with the battery in. What's the seat height? I measured mine at 30.6 inches. Does it decrease power as battery drains? So yeah, as I mentioned, once you get down to about 30%, it limits it to about 38 miles per hour top speed. And then at 20% battery remaining, it limits it to about 20 miles per hour top speed. How long did the tires last? So my back tire lasted about 350 miles before I replaced it, and I was riding it really hard. Is it hard to load it onto my rack? So I have a rack that holds this thing. It's the One-Up Extreme Duty rack, and it's super easy to load. That's another reason why I really love this bike over a dirt bike. You can lift it really easily. Is there anything that I don't like about it? Honestly, no. I mean, it's an awesome bike. I've had a ton of fun with it. I've loved riding it more than any other bike I've had. How's the balance point? I think it wheelies really well, has a great balance point. Do you have any problems with getting pulled over? I haven't had any problems. I don't ride on the street a ton. I just kind of try to be sensible when I ride on the road and ride on sidewalks if I can. And if not, then follow traffic like I would be on a motorcycle. Does it have a belt drive or gearbox? It has a belt drive out of the motor, and then of course it has a chain for the final drive. Do I have the brake sensors on? Like I mentioned, I already took my brake sensors off. It's much better like that. What are you going to mod first? At this point, I would probably mod the battery next to be able to get even more range. Hopefully Chai Battery will come out with one that is made for this. I'd love to hear if the ones that they have now already work with this. Why would you allow your mom to purchase you this useless powered mountain bike just to be a big boy and buy a crotch rocket? Yeah. Nice. Why is the chain so noisy? Like I said, I think they reduced the sprocket size to cut down on some of that noise, but I don't know why it's noisy. Did it come with graphics? This is a good question. On the website, it looks like it is red, or it has red stickers on it, but I've yet to see anyone talking about theirs being red, and mine didn't come with any stickers or anything. It just came black like this. Who shipped and delivered it? So mine came from Estes Express. Can someone who's 5'3" ride it? I would say so. How's the power and charge holding up after a couple months? It's great. No noticeable loss in power or capacity. Would you recommend a handlebar riser? I wouldn't. I think it's great how it is. How's the throttle response compared to a normal gas bike? It's much more responsive. If you've never ridden an electric bike, it's insane. I was blown away the first time I did it. Do you have to strap it down on your rack? So mine, the One-Up wrap, you don't have to strap it down. There's just two tire points of contact, and then there's a wheel chock that holds the front, more secure. Does it come with everything needed to put it together? It does. They give you a toolkit that's everything you need. Do you like it? Yeah, I love this bike. As I said, I've just been having a ton of fun on it, more than any other bike I've ridden. Is it easy to change suspension? I would say it's probably just like a motocross bike, pretty much. You got your triple crowns and, rear shock. Have you had any issues with front brake bleeding out from the tire rub? I haven't had any issues with that. I zip tied mine down pretty good. They provide you with a ton of zip ties, so I haven't had any problems with that. Is it more fun than Sur-Ron? I actually haven't ridden a Sur-Ron, so I couldn't say for sure. Is it better than Sur-Ron? Once again, I don't know, but I don't think that Sur-Rons come stock with 72 volts, so to me, fast is part of the equation for fun. So yeah, maybe it is better and more fun than a Sur-Ron. Should I just get the S instead of the SS? So they're talking about the other model that E-Ride makes. It's $900 less, but it has less power and range. So you got to make that call. What size are the wheels? So the SS model has 19-inch wheels on front and rear. Does it have enough torque at 40 miles an hour to pop a wheelie? Honestly, it probably does. You'd probably have to give it a pretty good pull, though. How tall are you? So I am about 5'10". How does the suspension compare to an MTB or dirt bike? I would say it's kind of right in the middle with how those feel. It's not as light and poppy and, supple as a mountain bike, but it's also not as heavy and bulky as a dirt bike. How similar is it to other bikes on the market? I think it's conceptually very similar. All the controls and everything, a lot of similar parts. Like I said, it just comes out of the box a little bit faster. Did you get wear marks on the backside of the battery where the shock mounts? I didn't notice anything like that. Sorry about the dog barking. Do the brakes squeak? They did squeak a little bit out of the box, the stock brakes in the back. I ended up replacing mine with some Amazon pads that squeak really bad. And then I got some new Shimano ones that are really good. They haven't made any noise, but I did have to modify them to fit. Where did you get $5,000 to buy this bike? Just from working, honestly. If you have to sell something else like a dirt bike or your car, then maybe you should think about that. Should I get this over a Prius? Yeah, honestly. That would be more fun. Sell your Prius and buy this. Do you think the price is steep? I don't think it's too steep for this bike. It's a lot of performance and virtually no maintenance. I think it's a fine price. Does it have brake sensors and tilt center? Like I mentioned, it does have the brake sensors. It also has a sensor that turns the throttle off if the kickstand is down. And it also has a sensor that if you dump it over, you won't be able to throttle it until you turn it off and back on. Did you get the updated model? So I ordered mine right when they came out, day after they launched. So no, I got the first version. How are the brakes? Honestly, they're really good, really grippy. Like I said, maybe upgrade the pads. And the only issue I've had is getting a little bit of air in my line, like I mentioned. But the brakes work good. Why don't you have any serious protection or armor on? I just don't want to put that stuff on every time I ride, and it's just a risk I'm willing to take. I wear a helmet all the time. Does it have a turbo button? I know at least the first version has a turbo button. I think it gives you a max power for about 10 seconds. Is there a way to test ride? I don't know about that. Maybe try one of the Facebook groups to see if any owners will let you ride it, or look for a dealer who would give you a test ride. Does it power wheelie? Absolutely, it power wheelies. Pretty much at any speed. Is it too small for someone who's 6'6"? No, I think it would fit great. Does it come with a title? No, it does not come with a title. Does it ship to California? Absolutely. They're located in California. Have you owned a Sur-Ron? I have not owned a Sur-Ron. Why does the back brake squeak? I don't know, honestly. What is the shelf life of the battery? I've heard that these will last for about 2,000 charges. How's the build quality? Build quality has been great, honestly. I haven't had any problems or screws coming out or anything. Is it easy to maneuver? Yes. I can do so much on this bike that I could never do on a dirt bike. Getting over logs or obstacles is so easy. I would go anywhere on this bike. So here's some questions that I don't know the answers to. So if you have any good answers to these, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. Can you use moto brakes? I don't know. If you know, let me know. Is it as good as the Ultra B? I don't know a ton about that bike. I've seen a little bit on it. I think this has similar power, but I think the Ultra B's heavier, so let me know if you've ridden one. How wide a tire can you fit in the rear? Honestly, I don't know. It looks like you would hit the chain if you go much wider than a 100. Let me know if you fit one wider than a 100. Is it better than an MX4? Get this question a ton. I don't know. I didn't really look into that bike all that much, so I couldn't say. Are Sur-On parts compatible with this bike? This is a super common question. I don't know which parts are compatible or not. Let me know if you guys know. Is it louder or quieter than a Sur-On? I've heard some people saying that it's louder than a Sur-On, so that might be the answer that we'd go with. Let me know if you've ridden both. Do they make a pedal kit for this bike? That would be interesting to see. I believe that some states maybe are talking about, only being street legal or classified as an e-bike if it has a pedal kit. So that would be interesting to see if you can get away with riding on the street if you have pedals on it. Is the suspension soft and cushy like Sur-On? Once again, haven't been on a Sur-On, so I couldn't say. If you've been on both, let me know what you think. Alright guys, so those are the top questions. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, please let me know down in the comments, or if you have any answers to these questions that I didn't have any answers for, let us know. Thanks for watching, y'all have fun, and take care.